to record. Okay, good. So good afternoon, everybody. It's Kaf Zayin Sivan, Hatafshin Pei Hey. It is June 23rd, 2025. We are deeply in the Geula birth. We are coming together as doulas to ourselves, to one another, to the Shekhinah, really with that energy of a Geula doula. I'm Reva Emuna. I'm in Tzfat, Eretz HaKodesh. Thank you, Hashem. Joining with my beautiful, beautiful sisters and friends. Really, it's taking a second to just connect to whoever is here. Wow. Okay, we've had quite a busy morning. So this is a meditation, and it's called Preparing to Pass, Walking the Eitz HaChaim. Now, by pass, the reason I feel compelled to teach this right now is because death is in the space, and we don't want to be afraid of death, right? We don't want to be, and by death, we also just could mean change, okay? Change, meaning there's going to be some point where Hashem's going to say, you have done enough tikkun, enough repair, enough fixing in this form, in this body, and I need to bring your soul somewhere else to do something else. Okay, but we have a lot of different fears around that. So the reason I feel very compelled to teach this is because this is Rabbi Shimon turning death on its head and showing us that death is just a transition. And Rabbi Nachman spoke about it's as simple as going from your living room to your bedroom. Okay, it doesn't have to be something met with fear, although some of us have fear in the spaces. So okay, again, I invite you, if you would like, to stand, if you would like, but you don't need to. But I invite all of us to, if you can, uncross your arms and legs, and you don't have to. However, it just gives you a fuller flow, right? It opens your vessel more deeply. It unblocks the energy centers. We forget that we're pulsating light. All we are is pulsating light and sound. It helps a lot if we can remember this, right? This is why we say Shema. Also, I prepared a whole class on Shema. It's just saying, when I say I'm compulsive, I'm not kidding. Okay. So we're going to slowly move through the Eser Sfirot. Again, this is a teaching. This is an offering from our beautiful Rebbe and neighbor, the Ariya Kadosh. Okay, and we're going to see how this is what is happening right now in the space. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Zchuto Rabba Yagen Aleinu, says, don't be afraid when the Chevlei Mashiach get very strong. And how do we not go into that deep fear? And it's okay if we do. And the Rebbe offers us an Eitzah, right? Holy sweet medicine. That as the fear arises, we can remind our parts and we can remind ourselves that the only thing that is happening is that Hakol mitlaben, everything is being lightened. Hakol mitbarer, everything is being clarified and made clear. And Hakol mizdakech, everything is being refined and purified. And by everything, that's sweet. And when I learned the Torah, I was like, oh, I love that. But then I looked into it more deeply. And by everything, we remind ourselves that that Kabbalah, many people think Kabbalah is the study of how to receive from the word mekabel, which it is, but it has two stronger meanings. The first of that stronger meaning is the word hakbala. Hakbala. Hakbala means a parallel, right? It means to mimic something, to reflect something. So we learn that everything in this world is mirroring something in the spiritual world. And Hashem is giving it to us in a physical form so that we can receive the message and the teaching of the nature of this thing and how it works. Okay? So, hakbala. So, in other words, if we understand, we look at a tree in the winter and we see that it looks dead, but then we see little tiny green sprouts coming out of it around Tu B'Shvat, we're meant to infer hakbala, that that's happening inside of us as well. That our spiritual powers went underground for the winter in order to gather strength and come back to its true center, and then the sap and the life force and the energy is once again going to rise up the tree, the hamevin yavin. Okay, what this means is we are the tree. We are the tree of life. When it says there's a tree of life and a tree of Eitz Hadat Tov Ra in the garden, we're meant to understand this is us. This is our body. This is our soul. This is our system. This is our vessel, and that everything that happens to a tree in nature will happen to us in this lifetime. And it's meant to give us strength, and it's meant to give us a feedback system. So the word Kabbalah or Hakbalah is actually a gift from Hashem, that there are feedback systems in the physical world. And if you look at physical reality, it will mirror and show you things about your own process and your own unfolding and Hashem's plan. And it's meant to bring you strength and clarity and peace. So far, so good. I also want to say, again, I'm very not formal. I do ask that if people have unrelated shares and questions, to save that for the end, and we'll have a little sharing period. But if you need clarity around something I'm saying that you don't understand, please feel free either to unmute yourself and ask me, or to write it, and I'll periodically check the chat box. Okay, because it's really important. And we say this often, Ein habaishan lomed, right? One who is shy doesn't learn. So put on your holy chutzpah hats and ask. Ask me 101 times if you need to, okay? If you don't understand something. Personal shares and stories and experiences, please leave those for the end, okay? And if you need to, or questions that are unrelated, jot it down on a paper and ask me at the end, okay? Okay. So I feel like what I'm going to do is give a little of all the classes. I just realized that's what's happening. Okay, good. Yay. Okay. So let me get the Korach one. Okay. So let's just start a little with this Korach piece. Okay. So the Ri HaKadosh teaches that Korach had a very high neshama. And this is from Shar Hagilgulim, right? Called the Gate of Reincarnation. And it's from Perek Lamed Gimel, which is very intentional. Log. Log means the karmic wheel, the karmic cycle, like a gall, like a galgal. Okay. In other words, the energy patterns that we continuously repeat until we gather the strength to move out of the pattern. Sometimes we can't gather the strength, and Hashem comes and breaks the pattern for us. More correctly, Hashem comes and lifts us up and out of the pattern. Okay? So, okay, so it says the Ari HaKadosh teaches that Korach had a very high neshama, and that Korach is a Gilgul of Cain. Okay? As in Cain and Hevel. Okay? Now, okay. I have to not open too many tabs at the same time. Okay. So this links Korach to a sphera, to an archetype of the firstborn, right? There's an archetype of the firstborn. um, who has to go through of a tohu soul, of a soul from the world of chaos. So their spiritual potential is actually higher, but therefore the alignment and the preparation process is deeper and more intense because the energies and the lights are so big and they're so high that they're very rogue and they're very chaotic because they carry such force and such power and such raw creative energy. And so, I mean, I want you to understand this, that it takes time. The higher the soul, the longer it takes to prepare the vessels for that soul's light. I need to say this again, I think. The higher the soul, meaning the energy is, it is like 1 billion watts, and it's very powerful and it's very concentrated. Creative energy, light, consciousness, life force. We have many names that we call it. And therefore, it has to be held and contained in a very masterful way. If it's held too tightly, the lights go out, right? In other words, it gets what Reb Shlomo calls, right, vessels without lights, right? We're following all the rules, we're doing all the halacha, but there's no passion inside of us. There's no spark, there's no joy, there's no excitement, there's no yumminess, okay? And then the other way we have is lights without vessels, okay? Lights without vessels is wanting bliss without the spiritual maturity to know how to hold those energies and sustain those energies. So it's kind of like a sugar spike. It's like eating a ton of sugar and then the blood sugar crashes, right? That's very much like tohu energy. It's like num, 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 and then the system can't contain it. It can't integrate it. Okay. So he says like this. I guess I should take it out of. Okay. So he says that um he says that Korach later, the Arizal says Korach later comes back. He comes back many, many, many times. Okay. It's Moshe and Aaron, Cain and Hevel, or Moshe and Aaron. Fine. I don't want to do a class right now on the reincarnations of Korach. But the Ari Kadosh later says that Cain again comes back as one of Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim, one of the 24,000. And it's again the same thing that he's trying to learn is it's not enough to just have ahava. We also need kavod. This thing that we keep missing, is how to unify with both love and respect. Both love and respect. It doesn't work when we just try to do it with love. It needs borders, it needs containment, it needs rules, it needs boundaries. Okay. I feel like I'm going to give this to you a little bit fast, not the way I intended, because I don't know why that's how I'm being asked to give it. Okay. So the Svas Emes on Korach, he says that Korach's main teaching was that we're Kulo and Am Kadosh, that every neshama, specifically every neshama of Am Yisrael, but also every neshama is a chelek Elohaimi mal mamish, has a godly soul. So why are we using this hierarchy? Why are we saying that some souls are higher than other souls? Right? This was the Sfas Emes said was what Korach was saying. And the Sfas Emes says, and Korach was speaking the truth, right? He says, Kol ha'eda kulan kadoshim. However, and this is what we're trying to learn right now in this Ikva de Mashiach, there's a process where we have to go through hierarchy, that some souls actually are further along on the process when we're still in galut, and we have to cross over some bridge to get to Geula, where it is true, in fact, that Kol Ha'eda Kulam Kadoshim. So far, so good? Is it clear? Because we're just going to go deeper. Okay, so this, I'm just setting the stage. Okay, so the world was not yet ready. What does that mean? What the work we're doing right now is we're preparing the last vessels to shift paradigms, to shift paradigms. There's one paradigm that's where Moshe Rabbeinu is the leader, and there's Kohanim and Levim and Yisrael, and there's another and integrated and connected. It's not one against the other. It's one giving birth to the other and containing and holding the other. Okay? Yeah? So far, so good? So there's an order, there's a tikkun, there's a repair process. There's a process with a seder hishtalshelus, an order, and there's a ladder. And Korach wanted to jump to the end. We want Mashiach now. That's not a dig at Chabad, by the way. I love Chabad and I love the Rebbe, right? But that cry carries a little bit of that Korach energy. It's like a woman is birthing and we're telling her, push, 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 and the body isn't ready. And she can actually tear, as many of us know, right? So if you're a good doula, the practice is not how fast can we get this woman to push this baby out. The practice is to help her to be with each contraction as peacefully as possible. Do you understand? Because this is really important, okay? Because Korach's vision, now we've said so far, according to the Arizal, according to the Sfas Emes, we're going to go deeper, is a real vision. I want everybody to have direct personal prophecy, direct personal connection to God. Why is it only for the few? Why do I have to give my power away to people who say they have Das Torah and I don't have Das Torah? I stood at Har Sinai. Why do they have a deeper connection to Hashem than I do? And so far the Arizal and Korach say yes, this is true, and every tree of life has to go through a purifying process to become the healthiest, strongest tree that it can, so that it can be deeply rooted and also bear beautiful fruit and also withstand storms and lightning storms and famine when there's not enough right water or food for the tree. You understand? Mavin Yavin. Okay, we're gonna keep going. So in Hasidic language, Korach wanted the orot of Mashiach bli the kelim. Orot bli kelim. This is a big theme in Kabbalah and Hasidut. Wanting the bliss, wanting the love, wanting the connection, but the vessels have not been prepared and they're not ready. So what Korach wanted was the Shekhinah to rise, but he was trying to force it, like forcing a birth. You understand? Now, Korah comes back as Moshe Rabbeinu. And all I want to say about that is just that Moshe again had to learn the lesson. You cannot hit the rock. You cannot hit a soul into consciousness. That's called breaking the vessels. Are we on the same page? Yes? Okay, please, again, I'm checking the chat, or unmute if you don't understand something that I'm saying, okay? Because we're going to go deeper. Okay. So now we want to talk about the Shekhinah and the feminine in the Korach story. Okay, so the Zohar and the Midrash bring up two women, okay? Two women in this Korach story. The first woman is Korach's wife, and I found her name, which was amazing. Okay, hold on. I have to see where I wrote it down. It's hold on, I'll find it. I'll find it. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna find it. It has the word ed in it though. Ed, as in an adi, as in a precious piece of jewelry, and as a witness. Okay, we're gonna talk about her in a second. And of course, also the wife of On ben Pellet. You know, you all know who the wife of On ben Pellet is. Remember, like On ben Pellet was a follower of Korach, and when Korach and his Edah came to collect him, his wife sat in the petach of the ohel. This is all very deep and very intentional. She sat in the opening to his tent, and she uncovered her hair, and she opened her hair right from her braid or whatever. This again, al pi sod, the mystical teachings. This is so deep, and she saved her husband On ben Pellet from being part of the Edah. Okay, so the Zohar and the Midrash come and say these are two types of feminine dealing with the Geula consciousness. Okay, and they surprisingly, okay, so there's a Midrash. I like to give sources because I know some people's parts don't relax until they have the Torah source. So there's a Midrash in Sanhedrin, Kuf Yud Amud Aleph, and the Zohar comes and says how the wife of Korach, on the surface it says the wife of Korach um, started a mered, right? She started a rebellion, right? And the wife of On ben Pellet saved her husband from destruction, right? So this is often taught as like, oh, Korach's wife is the bad feminine, and On ben Pellet's wife is the good feminine. But you know, we're bigger than that. Hold on, I see people wrote in the chat. I'm going to check it in a second. Let me just finish this thought. Okay, but on a deeper level, in Kabbalah, Korach's wife actually represents an isarusa dilatata, an arousal of the Shekhinah, demanding divine revelation on earth, not understanding that it's actually harmful for the Geula to come without all the proper kalim and vessels. In other words, our ability to meet it and hold it and integrate it and live with it, and it can actually shatter us. So many people are like trying to force the geula now, right? And be like, Hashem, if you loved us, you would make this war stop. If Hashem, if you loved us, you could fix all of this, right? So we want to understand that this was what Korach and his wife, I'm talking about in the inner late teachings, right? Were saying. They were saying, like, you created each of us holy. You created each of us with the ability to be enlightened, right? And by enlightened, we literally mean bring the consciousness up the body, up the spine, like an actual tree. When the sap rises and the tree is full of green and foliage and beautiful fruit, and it's very healthy, right? That's going to happen in our bodies. That's happening now. We're going from malchut to keter, meaning our physical body, but also we have now, just in case you think you have one tree, you don't have one tree. You have four simultaneously trees. You have an energy body that's physical. You have an energy body that's emotional. You have an energy body that's mental. You have an energy body that's spiritual. And they all overlap, kind of like the Petrushka, whatever they call the little Russian dolls, and one is inside the other. Does that make sense? And we have Esser Sphira, we have 10 energy centers in each one of those bodies. So we have 10 energy centers in our physical body, but we also, inside that, have 10 energy centers in our emotional body. By emotional body, we mean the energies of our impulses, our desires, our craving, right? And our feelings. Okay, so far so good? Yes, you're with me? Okay. Now we have also 10 energy centers in our mental body. So we have, again, we have 10 energy centers that hold our mental constructs, our thoughts and ideas and beliefs about God, about ourselves, about life, about each other. Okay. And then we have those same energy centers, 10 energy centers in our spiritual body. Okay. Now, what is happening is we're in a process like a little sapling, like a little baby tree, where each 10 centers in each body have to get unblocked, aligned, cleared, purified, opened, harmonized, balanced, so that the light, the life force, the consciousness can flow through in a beautiful, balanced way. So it's not flooding the system, because believe it or not, again, imagine if you have a 110 blender and you plug it into a 220 outlet, right? You will fry the blender, because too much light is also dangerous to the system. This is really important that we understand these principles. You understand? That's called shviras hakelim, a shattering of the vessels. You have a 110 blender. In other words, this little blender was only designed to hold 110 voltage of energy, but you're trying to put in 220 voltage. Okay, so that's very similar to what Korach and his wife were saying. Like, why can't we just plug the blender in already? Why can't we just plug the blender in? Right? We're saying, oh, because it's a 110 blender and it's got to be updated so it can contain 220 voltage. And that's a process of rewiring it. So far, so good? Are we all? Let me check the chat. Okay, we had some questions in the chat. Okay, hold on. Okay, how can Korach come back as Moshe when they were alive together? What I meant was Cain, right? Cain has many parts to his neshama, and they keep coming through different people to keep refining that energy. Does that answer? Okay. Did I hear you say Korach came back as Moshe? Yeah, again, Cain. Sorry, I meant Cain. I think I meant Cain. Okay. Why is the consciousness change being beaten into us now through violence and fear? Okay, that's literally the question in the space right now. Okay, so hold on to your question and remind me again, okay? Because that's really central. And when we get to Rebbe Shimon's teaching, which I hope we're going to get to, I mean, I'm staying online, whatever. People could get off if they need to get off. I feel like this is vital. And I feel that we're also drawing this down right now for the whole world. So here we go. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to give myself 1 second. 1 second. Okay. So now, but on a deeper level, Korach's wife represents a premature arousal of the Shekhinah, who's demanding divine revelation on earth without the proper channels. Okay, in other words, without having to go through Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu in the tree of life, just to let you know, is the center called Das or Da'at or connection. How do we connect? How do we connect? Okay. Now remember connection. Remember that Moshe doesn't build anything for the Mishkan. That's not his job. His job is everybody builds something and brings it to Moshe. And Moshe's job is as Da'at, is to connect the wiring. So far, so good? Okay. So Korach's wife is a spark of the Shekhinah in Galut. And what is she looking for? Now, I burst into tears when I saw this teaching, because I feel this in my system. she's looking for her rightful place. And she's looking for her rightful place, dafka beside the masculine, because in this teaching, Moshe is considered the masculine, and Korach and his wife are considered the feminine. There's very deep teachings around what this means. Moshe is the light, Korach and his wife are the vessels. Moshe is Yod He Vav He, Korach and his wife is Elohim or Adnut, or physical reality. But the simplest way is that it represents the Shekhinah. It represents the feminine. So the Zohar, again, I like to give the text for people who want the text. So it's Kuf Ayin Vav Amud Bet, and it calls Korach's rebellion a Shviras Hakelim. That's what it was. That what Korach wanted was the light, without just saying we're too exhausted in making the vessels. Why can't you just give us the light now? Why can't you just give us the geula now? Why can't we just be what we were designed to be, where each one of us is a tzaddik, right? Ki amech kulam tzaddikim. But the Zohar comes and says, wait, we want to redeem this. This is actually very holy yearning. This is yearning to rise. This is a yearning to elevate. It's a yearning to be awakened. It's a yearning to be enlightened. It's a yearning to already have the kingdom of heaven here on earth. Why do we need more war? Why do we need more suffering? Why can't we all just wake up, decide we're going to wake up, right? And live in the highest consciousness. And Moshe's trying to explain to Korach that might work for you, but think of, you've got to wait for the souls that are in the lowest level of consciousness to build vessels. Otherwise, you're going to shatter them with the light. Should I say that again? Right? Because Geula is about Knesset Israel, the collective soul of Am Yisrael. And we know in any family system that the family is only doing as well as the most vulnerable person in the family is doing. Should we say that again? The family system in any organization, in any, right, of parts, in any organism, the organism is only ever as healthy as the most vulnerable part of the organism is doing. Does that make sense? So if the liver is not doing well, then the whole body is suffering because the liver is not doing well. So we can't just force the body to run a marathon when the liver is not doing well. We have to stop, and we have to bring the liver back into health. Does that make sense? So it's actually the deepest compassion is to have the patience to wait, leval nidach mimenu nidach, for all the parts of consciousness that are in the lowest, scared, trapped places right now, and to help them. That's why it says Mashiach is sitting with Sara'as, with the lepers, at the gateway to Yerushalayim, because that's how he's helping them heal, is to meet them where they're at. Oh, you have tsaras? I have tsaras too. Maybe we can help each other. Do you understand? Mashiach is not above and saying, oh, here's how you should heal tsaras. Mashiach sits with the lepers with leprosy to say, I understand you. I'm not looking above you, down at you. Anochi itcha b'tzara. I'm sharing the pain and the suffering with you. And therefore that builds trust, because it builds resonance. You must understand me because you know what this feels like. Not you're judging me, not you're looking down and judging me. Do you understand the difference? Okay. Okay, I'm going to pause and just see if anyone has a question, because we're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper. We're literally just warming up. Okay. So Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin, he has a sefer called Tzidkas HaTzadik and Rasisei Laila, and in both of those svarim, he says like this: Korach was not wrong, right? This is Rav Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin. He wasn't wrong. He was premature. Okay? He was seeing that in the future, when the Shekhinah rises and hierarchy is no longer needed, in other words, we call it the kav, or linear transmission of light and consciousness, and we're going to move, and this is what we're doing right now. Galut is linear. It's called a kav. It's called a line. It means there's an order of operations. It also means it's a world of din, of schar v'onesh. Okay, it's a world of hierarchy. We're moving from that into circle consciousness, okay, which is feminine. And everybody is in the circle, and Shekhinah is in the middle, and everybody is saying, Ze keli ve'anvehu. This is my God. In other words, it's as equally accessible to you as it is to me, as it is to him, as it is to her, because it's circular. But there's a bridge in between. There's a bridge when we're sort of still in linear and not quite yet in circular. And now imagine how this is exactly a woman's body getting ready to give birth. It starts as a line. Imagine her body inside, it's all closed. And she's going to go through a process like this of becoming a circle where the baby can be born. That's when we started off saying hakbala, that when you look at a woman's body giving birth, you'll understand how a soul birthed itself into enlightenment. Esther, what does that mean? Okay, that's the secret of Hakbala, that Hashem left trailheads in physical reality, that we can look at the process of birth in physical reality and understand what our soul has to go through in order to become birthed into something new and something higher. So far, so good? Okay. Again, any questions, any clarifications? I'm here.
Really quick, is Hakbala like Kabbalah?
Yes. Hakbala means parallels, or I can infer from this thing that that's how this thing also works. Okay, it literally means parallel. Yeah, was that clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, so Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen, he says his vision was not wrong. It was just early, right? There is a rise of the feminine, and by feminine we don't just mean women, okay? We mean the soul in each person. We mean the divine presence. We mean the ability to hold the consciousness of Shiviti Hashem Kenegdi Tami, that Hashem is here right now. And we forget, and we're like, wait, where's God? Where's God? Where's God? Oh, God's right here, right now. Wait, where's God? Where's God? Where's God? God's here. God's here. And it takes us a long time for that to get integrated into all the parts. And then we forget again, there's a siren. Where's God? Where's God? Where's God? Right? And it takes us a long time to get this awareness and consciousness integrated into our system. Einon milvado. It's all God. There's only God. This is also God. God's still here. God's still holding you. God didn't go anywhere. It takes us a long time for some of us souls. Okay, so far so good. So Rav Tzadok says like this: the time will come when Korach's words will be true. Everyone will be kadosh, and without a need for mediation. In other words, without an outside Mashiach. I know, I'm going to wake up people's parts here. I'm a little shtickle rebel. I'm a shtickle from the camp of Korach. It's okay. That's how God made my soul. Okay. But he's saying something really deep, right? He's saying we're fixing the Egel Hazahav. What's the Egel Hazahav? Now, you understand the women did not participate in the Egel Hazahav. Why? Because they were already starting to rise. They were already starting to understand the tree is me. I am the tree. God lives in me. God dwells in me. I can have access to God in my own body. It doesn't have to come from outside of me in a Mashiach. It doesn't have to come outside of me in a tzaddik. But the men saw Moshe Rabbeinu's not coming back. Without Moshe Rabbeinu, we'll have no connection to God. We're going to die. Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay. However, again, the women were not part of this last week's parsha of the Chet HaMeraglim for the same reason. The women were starting to understand what we don't have to be scared. Hashem dwells within each one of us. Hashem is here. Remember what was the question at the Egel Hazahav? Ha'im yesh Hashem bekirbeinu o ayin? Does God in fact dwell within me or not? Am I separate from God? Can I be disconnected from my creator or not? Because if I am, then life is pretty damn scary. And if I'm not, then it can look scary, but it's actually okay. Rev Daniel Katz, one of my beloved teachers, had something really beautiful this week. He was talking about the Aseret HaDibros. And he says, let me make it really simple, okay? The first of the Aseret HaDibros is, I am Hashem. Please connect to me. The second of the Aseret HaDibros is, I am Hashem. Please don't do anything to damage or break this connection. I love that. It's just so simple and direct. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take a little drink. I'm going to water my tree, literally.
Reva, that's beautiful what you just said from Rabbi Daniel the Katz. I mean, but that's something. Can you say that again because that's very profound.
Yeah, he said the first of the Aseret HaDibros is, I am your creator. Please connect with me. And the second is, I am your creator. Please don't allow anything to break or damage our connection. And everything else is just the details of that. I love that. Yeah, I love that. Okay. So he says, what Korach and his wife's vision was. Now we're talking about Pnimius Torah, right? You'll see a lot of other Torahs, making him out to be not such a good guy. Fine, true, not true. Right now we're in the world of Pnimius Torah, of the inner light. Okay? So he says, what Korach and his wife were yearning for, longing for, is the same thing that Adam and Chava were yearning and longing for. And Abraham and Sarah, right? And so on and so forth, right? The vision of the feminine Shekhinah fully restored. Every soul is in direct contact with the Creator, and every soul is a channel for divine presence. And it's true. And it also requires a process of preparation. Again, for many reasons, not the least of which is that, as we saw with Nadav and Avihu, this power is so sacred that we can't approach it just as like a buddy, like, hey, bro, God, hey, dude, how you doing? Right? It requires that intimacy, but it requires reverence. It requires an ability to understand that this is sacred and I cannot casualize it. And I have to understand the rules of how to relationship with this sacred energy. not because it wants to, Esther, scare me and terrify me, but the word yir'ah is I have to have an awareness that I am dealing with an awesome power and hold the sacredness of that. I know we're going to get more into the fear. Hold on. Because it is, we're dealing with fear. Fear is very much in the space. Okay. So let's talk about tikkun, repair. The word tikkun actually means a pattern. It's that there's like these sacred mandalas of light and sound. And I promise you, that's actually all we are. See, we don't have the eyes to see it yet, but we will have the eyes to see it. That's part of what we're preparing the vessels for. If we really knew, if we could really see each other truly. Now, why does a Shammai come and say that in the future we're all going to know each other's thoughts? There's a thought. There's going to be nowhere to run or hide. Everything you think is known. Everything you feel is known. Why? Because we're going to be on the level that everything is energy. And we can see that we have a thought and it sends out energy and it creates an energy pattern, an actual energy pattern. No, sorry, that's my phone in the background. Maybe I'll hold on. Let me unplug it. Okay, that's another class for another time. Let me check the chat box. Okay, kind of a sidetrack, but wondering how you would compare the story of Karachi, who said everyone is holy, and Eldad and Medad, when Moshe's response was halavai, that everyone could prophesy. I don't think it's a sidetrack. I think it's exactly saying the same thing. And Moshe's answer is saying the same thing. Everyone can prophesize. And in fact, in R.A. Kaplan's Inner Space book, he quotes that one of the Tanaim, one of the conditions for Mashiach coming is that the majority of Am Yisrael return to Eretz Yisrael. And I was literally crying seeing these ships and these flights that are desperately trying to bring everybody back, right, to Am Yisrael. And that the majority of Am Yisrael will start to mitnaveh, have prophecy. I'm really pushing the buttons here, huh? You know I love it. Okay, no, there's a reason we're saying this. It's very connected because Moshe was saying, yes, it's true, and also people's vessels have to be prepared. It's true that we all have the ability for Ruach HaKodesh and prophecy, but we can have stuff in our system, energies in our system, trauma in our system, hatred, jealousy, resentment, fear, terror, right? Sadness, that's imbalanced. All those energies are perfect and beautiful at their source. We're not trying to get rid of any energies. We're trying to unburden them from the imbalanced responses that came about through trauma, right? These are all good energies. It's ein on milvado. Fear is great. Shame is great, right? Hatred is great. These are all of these energies at their core are just God. But they can get imbalanced and take over the whole tree. That's not good, right? Because that's not called harmony. Harmony is when all the energies are working together for the health of the whole system, right? So far, so good? Okay. Did that answer your question about Eldad and Medad? Because that's exactly the machloket between Moshe and Korach. Exactly, that Moshe's like halavai, that all of you could already have the inner Moshe Rabbeinu, the inner Das, but it's a process. It's the same way of saying oh, every person can drive a car. No, a 5-year-old cannot drive a car. They have the potential to grow up and learn how to drive a car, but they're 5 right now and they can't drive the car right now at 5. I have to raise them up, feed them, take care of them, teach them about, rules and responsibility and care. And eventually I'll teach them how to drive the car. And eventually everybody will drive their own car. But Korach's like, why can't we just all drive cars now? Do you understand? That's literally the machloket. We can all drive cars. We're all smart. Oh, only you can drive a car? No, only Moshe can drive the car right now. And why he's here is to take care of us and teach us and build the consciousness that we can get to also being able to drive our own car. So far, so good. It's really deep stuff. I mean, we're in it. Like we're living this Torah right now. Okay, so far so good. So this is the basic machloket. Korach is like, hey, we can all drive cars. Like, why are you keeping us from driving cars? Like, don't think only you know how to drive. And Moshe's like, yes, you can all drive cars. And there's a process. Okay, so far so good. Because if you take the car out as a 5-year-old, you're going to get hurt. And Korach is saying, just because you want to be the only one that's driving the car. And Moshe's like, no, you're going to crash the car, my love. You got to learn. You've got to learn. And then I promise you the day is going to come. Halavai, you guys don't need me. I'm just going to go hang with Hashem, right? Okay, you understand? Now, but the holy masters take it even deeper, and they say Korach's heart was mamish in the sweetest place. He wasn't like attacking Moshe at all. He was just saying like, why don't you just teach us how to drive the cars already? Come on. Like we're lonely, we're desperate for God, and we want to drive to wherever God is. Can you just teach it? Can you just speed up the process? Come on, people are suffering. Okay, got it? Okay.
Reva,
Yes.
you skipped one very good chat question.
What
Ashira,
is
yeah,
okay. Hold on.
I'm,
Hold on. Let me see. Okay. Wait, are you talking about Eldad and Madad? Oh, Shira. Shira. Okay. How do we go from hierarchy to equal activity to Hashem? This is literally the living Torah we're doing right now. Through Emuna that he's with us all, or we are moving away from the understanding that we don't need a Moshe Rabbeinu personality to connect to. Okay, great. Okay, I have to read this question out loud because this is the question. Okay, here we go. How do we go from hierarchy to equal connectivity to Hashem? I do want to say this is the question from Har Sinai until today. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. We're crossing the gesher. We're building the bridge between these two systems, between these two paradigms, between what we call mochin de katnut, or child consciousness, and mochin de gadlus, right? Mature consciousness. This is literally the whole Torah. The whole Torah is how to go from mochin to katnut to mochin to gadlut, otherwise known as how to wake up, how to become enlightened, how to become a tzaddik. For real. Okay, how to bridge Hillel and Shammai. Let's say more. How to harmonize all contradictory paradoxes in the entire world, right? How do we go from hierarchy to equal connectivity to Hashem? Yes, that's the question. Through Emuna that he is with us all, yes, but again, this is the question. Or are we moving away from the understanding that we don't need a Moshe Rabbeinu, etc., personality to connect us to Hashem, and we have him inside of us all along? Yes, and yes. And it plays out, I want you to understand, it plays out on the level also of the masculine and the feminine. And this is also part of what's happening right now, that until now, the way that a chuppah worked, the way that a feminine body and soul worked was that it was a makabel, and it had to receive the light through the man, through the mashpia, through the husband, through the chatan, from the word ten, right? Chatan, the one who gives, and kala from the word kli, the vessel, right? Until now, again, it was the same paradox and the same system that the feminine malchut had to get the light through chachma, through yisod, through an actual physical man, right? In order to have her tikkun. And surprise, surprise, the Balatanya, the Leshem, come and say, right, there's going to be a v'nahafahu, where the isha is going to be ateret ba'ala. There's going to be a switch of v'nahafahu, where the feminine becomes the mashpia. She's the crown of her husband. It means her light and her consciousness is higher than her husband's. Not in a competitive way, in a collaborative way. That's why this process is so much and so big. It's a birth. We're literally birthing the reversal of energies. How did that land? Let me check the chat box. I mean, we're going to go deeper into it so you'll understand deeper, but hold on one second. Does that mean that the ultimate goal is that we will not have a leader who has a unique connection to Hashem, the King, the Kohen Gadol? Oh, wow, I'm really putting myself on a limb here. Yes. Every soul is uniquely designed for a unique part in this system. So we're still going to have Kohen and Levi, and we're still going to have Sanhedrin, but it's collaborative. Again, we're not there yet. So I myself, I can only tell you what I've seen in the Sfarim. Okay. So again, it's a paradox because we're going to have both. We're still going to have people fulfilling their unique role, and yet it's not hierarchical, and it's collaborative, and it's each soul doing perfectly what it was designed to do.
Each of those roles, excuse me if each of those roles is to be the representative of the people. What's the melech? The melech is Am Yisrael and nothing else. But so I think the system can only work if you say that everybody has their own unique connection. And then also Hashem has this unique connection with someone he's delegated for a purpose, right? The Kohen Gadol has a very particular purpose representing the Am in a particular way, right? And I think everybody else on any other leader, probably is the same.
Yes, but we don't know yet what it looks like because it hasn't ever existed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
A month or two, I give it.
Tops, man. 2 weeks. Tops.
Reva, so are you saying that the energy change that's happening right now will give each of us the direct clarity as to exactly what is my role as a Jew, as a woman, to be doing in my world, in the world at large, with complete knowingness and connection that will receive this energy of knowingness.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And but the holy masters are saying what precedes that is a death and a decimation and a destruction of the false identity that I think I am. I have to first shed, there's a shedding of who I think I am, what I think I am, the me that presents itself to society, the me that performs to get approval, the me that does things because of people pleasing, because I've learned that if I don't, then I'm not going to have a place in the family. All those roles are undergoing a death now. a shedding, right? We're
All
looking at
this, the individual suffering that so many people are experiencing in so many different ways of being tested, that we're going through this to rid ourselves of those false identities.
Yes, yes. And it's not what we think. It's not din. It's not punishment. It's not Hashem's mad at us. It's we have all these, okay, from the language of IFS, because as an IFS person, internal family systems, right? It's that we have parts that at very young ages got forced into roles that they never asked for, right? Like being a people pleaser, for example, okay? Or always taking care of everybody else, but not allowing yourself to take care of yourself, right? That's not healthy, but that's something that many of us learn to do as children to survive, right? To get care, to get approval, to find our place in the system. So if we would talk about it in IFS terms, we're finally going to all these parts where they got stuck and frozen in old roles, right? That they don't need anymore, that are limiting, that are preventing the system from flourishing, right? That are false images of who we are and what we're capable of. And all those parts now are getting what we call unburdened. In other words, freed from there's these extreme roles that they had to do just to survive, because we don't want to just survive. We want to live. Does that make sense?
I
More?
wanted to pipe in with a few things too. So this morning we were talking about what was wrong with what Korach said. And the answer was that we need Korach and Moshe because Moshe represents the right side and Korach represents the left side, and we need the piece in the middle. But the reason Korach didn't prevail when the story happened is because he had not purified his soul. He hadn't purified himself of the ego that he had and what he thought, his thoughts and his image of himself were getting in the way of the message being so clear that all of us could each have our part and we all would have that divine connection. And it was something else that you said, but yeah, we have to get to the center place. And just today, somebody was saying, "How are you doing?" in a chat with me, and I was saying everything. He said we have to receive gula from the inside out, and I said yes, and also from the outside in. And then I said, right now everything is upside down and cattywampus, and exactly that's what's happening to us at this point. Is that all the things we thought we were and all those images that we took on um, are getting shed. We're not really dying. We're going into life that is thriving and living, as opposed to roles that we have had and then images that kind of served us as we went along, but really we don't need those images. We just need to be. And then we'll be in the center line when we're breathing and connecting without ideas about who we are that we're breathing and connecting.
Yes, thank you. From an IFS perspective, I want to introduce something new, which is going to
Excuse me, Reva. But before you introduce something new, could I make a suggestion that we take a 5-minute break?
Sure.
Anyways, I want to put this on a second recording, so it'll be too long to. So let's take a little break, and I'm not shutting the thing down. Everybody can say whoever wants, but we'll just take a little break and.
Okay, 5 minutes. Sure.
Okay, all right.
I'm really glad that everything's getting recorded.
Like, okay, shalom.
Yay!
It's Reva Emuna. This is part 2.
Yeah.
Monday, January 23rd.
Okay, I'm coming.
Can people please mute themselves? Everybody please mute themselves so we only hear Reva.
Yeah, please, if you can mute. It's again June 20, Monday, June 23rd, Kaf Zayin Sivan Natafshin Pei Hey. I feel like I want to take 5 minutes for a very practical piece of Torah. Okay. Remember, we said we're energy systems living in an energy world. It's hard to see that when we're in this world of the nefesh, this world of asiya, this world of physicality and physical form and matter. But right, it's part of the geula process that we're revealing the divine energy, the divine light, the divine Hashem's animating all of physical reality. However, I want to give you a couple of things that you can do to strengthen your mishkan right now, to your home, your sanctuary, your actual home, which is both your physical home and also your body right now, energetically to protect it, to guard it. Okay, these are secrets from our holy masters. They're energetic secrets that create force fields of holiness, force fields of peace, force fields of protection. Okay, so I want to give you some of them. Okay, the first one comes from the Halakha Baal Shem Tov, the Holy Baal Shem Tov. The Holy Baal Shem Tov says the ketoret, right? The beautiful 11 spices. One was very stinky, 10 were beautiful. And we needed the stinky one. We need this super disgusting smelling spice also, right? Because we need all of us. We need all of us. We need our stinky, disgusting parts. We need our beautiful, yummy, smelling good parts, right? We need to bring all of it together and unify it, right? This is not a war of good against evil. Please understand that. Please understand. This is not a war. There's no such thing as good against evil. Hashem echad u'shmo echad. Ein od milvado. Ein od milvado. That is the fixing of our mind right now. The mind of duality, the mind of this against that, this or that. Ein od milvado. The process we're going through right now is learning what peace is. Peace is hashlamah. Peace is the harmonization of all polarities and paradoxes, and being able to hold the paradox and be okay with that, right? It's not this against that. They're both equally true simultaneously, and they both get space in Hashem's world. And fire and, for example, right, the Gemara gives this example, fire and water, right? Well, normally fire douses, fire boils and evaporates water, and water douses fire. But in Shemayim, it doesn't work like that. Fire and water collaborate to make you a nice, yummy cup of hot tea, right? That's what happens when the polarities and the polarized energies learn how to work together. They make life more blissful and more beautiful. Like you get a nice cup of hot tea. When they're not, so again, the fire is evaporating the water. I can't exist when you're here because you could douse me. And the water says, well, I can't exist when you're here because you're gonna you're going to boil me away and evaporate me, right? And that's the perception. And when something shifts and they figure out, hey, maybe there's a way that I could be fire and you could be water and you could be the best fire possible and I could be the best water possible. And we could join our gifts and our forces and, ooh, we made soup. We made tea. Look at that. That's the process that we're in right now. We're getting out of this against that mentality. I can't live if that's in the world. If that person has that opinion, then I can't be in the world, right? If fire's in the world, says water, I can't live. No, if water's here, I can't live, says fire, right? No, this is what we're learning. This is the new third way. This is the peace path, hashlama. Yerushalayim yira shalem. Seeing the whole picture, seeing how to put all the polarized energies together in a harmonious way that reveals Hashem's kavod, right? That reveals more, that's Hashem's kavod. When fire and water come together to make a cup of tea, that's creativity at its best. It's bringing bliss, it's bringing soothing, it's bringing healing. Yes? Okay, let me just check the chat because I see, yes, collaboration. Partnership. Yes. Okay. So I want to just give you this literally 5 minutes. Okay. So the Holy Baal Shem Tov says, if you recite the Ketoret in your siddur in the morning, it says Pitom HaKetoret, right? And our neighbor is right here, Rabbi Nassan Habavli, right? He's right here in our forest, right here in the forest between Tzfat and Meron is the resting place of Rabbi Nassan Habavli, Rabbi Natan Habavli, right? And he says Hadek Hetev Hetev Hadek Hetev. Hadek hetev hetev, pound the spices, pound them well, because the sound of pounding them is healing, right? And so the Holy Baal Shem Tov comes and says, when there is energetic waves, sound waves in your space of fighting, of fear, of negativity, of words that might have been screamed in the space, of thoughts even, it's even more chazak when it comes out in words, right? Because then it's also sound waves. But the Baal Shem Tov says it's a secret. Fix the energy waves in your house. They could be sound waves, they could be light waves, what you've seen, what you've heard, what you've spoken, what you've thought, and how it's gone into your walls and how it's affecting your vessel. And the Baal Shem Tov says, if you recite the Pitom HaKetoret, it sweetens, just like the Ketoret did in the Beit HaMikdash, it sweetens all of those energies to the shorish, means it brings them back to their true nature. Okay? So that's a teaching from the Baal Shem Tov. So if you feel fear in your house and you recite the Pitom HaKetoret, it's exactly, says the Baal Shem Tov, like the Kohen Hagadol offering the Ketoret in the Kodesh Kadoshim on Yom Kippur. Okay, it makes a hamtaka. It sweetens any bad smell. You know, like when people fight, we don't actually smell this, but when we're going to be in Mashiach and our noses are going to have an upgrade, we're actually going to smell the smell of a fight, and we're never going to want to fight again because it has such a bad smell. Okay, really, fear has a smell. Dogs, animals know this, right? They can smell fear on us. Right? It's a real thing. It's a physical thing. It's not just mystical. Okay, so hold on, chat. Okay. Oh goodness, such a beautiful, good question. Okay, could you remind me? Let me just finish this piece and we'll go back to the chat question, because these are gewaldically deep. These are geula questions, and we need to get to each one with Hashem giving us the strength and the time. Please, God. Okay, but I want to just give you this. So that's one thing, Pitom HaKetoret. The second thing is, it's not stam that we light candles before every Chag and every Shabbos. Candles actually change the vibrational field in your space. So it's a really good practice now to light candles, especially light candles in the morning. And when you light candles, call in your ancestors. This is real. This is not just heebie-jeebie SWAT stuff. I mean, it's also real. Okay. Call in the tzaddikim that you're close to. Call in the tzaddikot that you're close to. Call in your actual family members, right? Call in protection. Candlelight actually, it's not just a mystical thing. It actually adds light, meaning actual more light in your space. It will directly affect your vibrational field and how you feel, and give you direct embodied emuna. Okay, it's actually making your actual space more mu'al, more enlightened, literally. Okay, it's a cheap shortcut to enlightenment. Okay, just light a lot of candles. Okay, next is play music that elevates your vibrational field. Okay, whether it's live music or whether it's recorded music, music has a direct effect on the vibrational field of our home, of our bodies, of our spaces. Again, these are all things we did in the Mishkan and the Beit HaMikdash. I'm not making up anything here, right? These are our secrets of how to create sacred, protective space. So we had the Ketoret in the Mishkan and in the Beit HaMikdash. We had candles, fire, really, right? But don't go building a mizbeach in your house. I'm not sure the neighbors would appreciate that. The candles, okay? But I thought, again, that idea of ha'esh, the ner tamid, the menorah, and the esh shetukad, right? Ad biat HaMashiach. add light, add light, add light, bring light into your space. Okay, there's a reason we had it in the Mishkan and in the Beit HaMikdash. Okay, there again, essential oils. Burn essential oils or put them in a spray bottle with water and spray them around your house. Again, these are gifts Hashem gave us. This is part of the gift of the Ktoret. Smell affects your emuna. It's again embodied emuna. It's hard to smell lemon oil or orange oil and not feel more joy, right? Those citrusy like tea or lavender and the calming, soothing effect on your nervous system. Buy a spray bottle, put water and lavender oil in and spray your house. And right, it brings roga, it brings calm. These are all gifts from the Ribono Shel Olam. We don't have to go through terrorized in our spaces. Okay, we have again, that's secret from the Mishkan. It's a secret from, remember it says like no animals even, and certainly no human beings had hapalot, had miscarriages because of the Ktoret. Because at Ketoret brought peace, it brought joy. So we can use scents right now, like essential oils, incense, to bring more calm into our spaces for ourselves, for our right spouses, for our children, right? These are really important. I call it embodied emuna because this is what we did in the Mishkan and in the Beit HaMikdash. Okay, the next thing is Tehillim. Tehillim are vibrations. The Holy Masters say all the words of Tehillim are just codes for all the names of Hashem. Right? It's literally names of Hashem. That it means it's frequencies and vibrations of love, of peace, of connection, of das, right? Fill your spaces. Again, you know, the simplest way to say Tehillim is just to mitkaven or have the intention of the simple meaning of the words. But even if that feels too much for your nervous system right now, just reciting Tehillim. And there's so many holy masters that say the entire war of Gog and Magog or Chevlei Mashiach is won from the simple people reciting Tehillim. That's like in so many Sfarim. Because again, it's actually changing. It's not just about, it's not like OCD and like, if I recite this magical formula, then God's going to save me. No. We're so much bigger than that. We're actually sending frequencies and vibrations of divine presence into the space. Okay, we're actually increasing the light. Okay, obviously, to the best of your ability, you know, see if your mezuzahs are nice and kosher. Again, we may not be wanting to run out right now, but you know, if that's possible for people who don't have mezuzahs, you know, at least have one on your front door if you can. They're very expensive. I get that. You know, talk to your local Chabad people. See if you know. I contacted a Chabad house in California, and they came and they put up mezuzahs all through my friend's house for free. That's Mesiras Nefesh, like literally. Okay. Here's again other practices for just changing the vibration and the frequencies in your home, right? Let me just say one last thing. Again, reciting Torah out loud in your house. That's a protective force field. It's an actual real thing. Again, not voodoo, right? It's frequencies of consciousness. It's frequencies of God's love, of the Creator's love. Okay, these are all really good, important things to do for yourself right now. Water, no joke. Drink a lot of water. You're like, again, you need to hydrate your tree, and we call it mayim chaim, right? Remember that water is chesed. The more water you drink, I'm not talking about over drinking. Just drink a good amount of water now. Remember that water is chesed, chasadim. It's going to move through the scared vibrations, any trapped energies in you of trauma, of fear. Okay, so again, l'chaim. If you have any opportunity, if you have any opportunity to get to a mikveh, to get to a ma'ayan, to get to a lake, Again, these are mayim chaim. These are living waters. They're womb waters, Hashem's womb waters. They cleanse, they take off, they bring you back into the Shara Hamishim, the 50th gate. They're grace, right? They're called, the mikveh waters are called the frequency of grace. Grace in Hebrew means chen, from the word chinam, unconditional, unearned, unconditional love, right? That's what we mean when we say grace. We have one system where we make an Isarusa dilatata, where we perform an act and we draw in Hashem's light, but we have a higher system, which is called the system of grace. Okay, and the system of grace. Give tzedakah in your home. Give tzedakah every day. The Rebbe says, have a pushka on one of your walls, right? The Rebbe actually says on all of your walls, but fine. One pushka that's attached to your wall. It's a shmirah for your house. And please, these are really deep teachings, because when tzedek, when righteousness is literally in your walls, it's a shmirah. Okay. Again, we're not saying it from a place of like witchcraft or voodoo, like Hashem's plans are Hashem's plans, but Hashem gives us the medicine to raise the vibrational field to fields of peace, to fields of righteousness, to fields of kindness, to fields of grace, and gives us all of these tools to do that. The smell and sight, right? It affects your consciousness to see a pushka on your wall. It reminds you that the very walls, the very fabric of your vessel, of your home, of your mishkan is based on righteousness, which means compassion, fairness, justice, compassion. Okay, so those are some of the tools that the Holy Masters give to fill your space with beautiful vibrations. It'll affect you. You affect it, and it affects you. So far, so good. Now, another thing I would say is put on your YouTube feed or Spotify or whatever, put on recordings of Ana B'Koach. Ana B'Koach is a 42-lettered name of Hashem. It's a shmirah. Okay, it's right. You know what I'm talking about? Ana
Yes.
These are energies, these are vibrations of declaring, right, that the Creator is one, and the Creator is good, and the Creator is with us, and the Creator is here. Those vibrations change reality. Here's the next thing Rav Kook says: hug yourself, hold yourself, tell yourself, give yourself slicha umechila and rachamim. Rav Kook says when we do that, we draw a chut shel chesed into kol havaya kula. When we forgive, we draw a vibration of loving kindness into all of reality. When you go to sleep at night, remember, say, Hareini mochelet, lechol mi sheichis v'ikitoti, o shechata kenegdi, ben begufi, ben bemamoni, ben bechvodi, ben bachol asherli, ben beones, ben beratzon, ben beshogeg, ben bemezin, ben bedibur, ben begilgul zeh, ben begilgul acher, v'lo ya'anesh shum adam b'si. Hashem, help me to forgive to whatever degree I'm able to forgive right now. Some days I'm more forgiving. Some days I'm more scared. Some days my resentments have a hard time. They're stuck. Be truthful, be authentic. This is not about spiritual bypassing. But Hashem, help me to whatever degree I'm able right now, Shem Shemaim, because it changes the frequency and the vibration for yourself and for everybody. To whatever degree I'm able right now, Hashem, I forgive any being that harmed me, my body, my soul, my honor, my time, my money, my reputation, right? In this lifetime, in any other lifetime, whether they did it on purpose to hurt me cruelly, or they did it by accident, whether they did it knowing that they did it, whether they did it unconsciously. I forgive them to whatever degree I'm able to truthfully do that right now. And I hope that it will stretch, and I hope I'll become more able to. And Rav Kook comes and teaches us the secret. And he says, the more you can forgive yourself, the more you can forgive another. But start with yourself.
Uh-oh. Maybe she lost her connection. It says Reva Emuna left.
Reva, you missed what I said. I said you're giving us such
So good.
that Hashem couldn't handle it anymore.
Oh my goodness. I mean, these are such important teachings, but Rav Kook, and not just Rav Kook, all the holy rabbis say tshuva is not, this is what's happening right now. What we thought things were are not what they were. And we're going to keep seeing this again and again and again. What we thought Hashem wanted from us is not what he wanted from us. What we thought we are, what we think other people are, this is what's happening right now. Our vessels are being, our eyes are being mikvahd, our souls are being mikvahd. Nothing is what we think it is. Again, if you understood that the person who hurt you the most in the whole world, if you knew that because their soul, not their body, because their soul loved you so much, they agreed to hurt you in this lifetime so you could learn a lesson that you needed to learn and elevate, imagine how you would kiss and hug them and thank them in Shemayim. Now, it doesn't look like that here. Here, it looks like they're your enemy, right? But if you will see when we get to Ein Od Milvado, that this soul was crying the whole time they were hurting you, not the person. The person may have been delighting that they were hurting you. Chas v'shalom. It happens. But if you knew that their soul was in pain because they were going to hurt you in this lifetime so that you could become stronger and lean on Hashem and daven and go inside, or all the things that will come out of it, right? Okay, so let's keep going. So the main practice right now, says the Holy Masters, is the main practice is to say to you, I'm sorry. I forgive you. I didn't know. I made mistakes. I'm sorry. Please, please, please forgive me to yourself. To yourself. We are preparing the vessels for Geula. That means the revelation of how interdeeply we're connected and how much we love each other and how we're one. We don't see it yet. We're learning. We're like little training wheels. Okay, so that was like just a kind of a side point that Hashem is telling us. We are energy. Change the energy, change the reality. Lift the frequency, you change the reality. These are all ways that Jewish women have been using for thousands of years to lift the frequency. What else lifts the frequency? Shira, nigun, sing, hum. We actually have now discovered that humming soothes the vagus nerve in the body. It's the quickest way to soothe your nervous system. If sirens go off, chas v'shalom, you're in the Mamad, you're on the way to the Mamad, humming, hum, literally humming. Soothes the vagus nerve, soothes the frequency in the body. But more than that, right? The Torah tells us, Kol mi she'omer chelek mi shira be'kol yom, harehu ben olam haba. A person who sings a portion of song every day is guaranteed a chelek in olam haba. Not a place. Olam haba is not a place. Olam haba is higher frequencies, higher reality, more truthful, because it's more unified, it's more loving, it's more clear, it's more peaceful, it's more integrated. Okay, so singing, song, again, if you are finding that hard to do, so go into your computer and put on recordings of Ana B'Koach, recordings of Tikkun HaKlali. By the way, again, it's not to be Breslov, Chabad, Rav Kook, whatever. It's Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. But the reason that Rabbi Nachman revealed Tikkun HaKlal
Well,
yes, beautifully from Saraya, right, Eklov. So yes, sound bath, sound healing. Again, these are all ways that we lift the frequencies in the spaces and bring peace, bring joy, bring unity. Can you guys hear me and see me? I don't even know.
Can hear you, but not see you. Emuna, Reva, are you there? Now we don't hear anything.
Maybe your batteries ran out. I mean, on her computer.
Judy, stop recording.
oh, I didn't.
In the name of Shlomo ben Naphtali v'Pesya, in the name of all the Avot and the Imalot. Okay, here we are. Okay, good.
We just don't see you, Reva.
You don't see, oh my gosh. Well, my video is on and my audio is on, according to Zoom.
Oh,
Well, last time we tried to fix it,
Yeah.
you signed off, so maybe it's okay. We just won't see your face. Unless you want us to.
Yeah, just keep going because we're just soaking this up. And I'm making a list to send out to everybody.
See?
Also, there was one really relevant question in the chat. That
I don't
you
think
might
she's
want to
there
answer.
again. Reva, are you here?
I don't think so.
She's gone again, Judy.
The whole time it kept saying that her bandwidth is limited or something. So I don't know. I'll ask her to do it without the camera. Maybe that'll be better. All right. Do it without the Reva, sweetheart, do it without your camera. Okay, because I think it takes too much. Yeah. That's when it went out. Yeah, it's too much for it to carry. Oh, there I see you. See your name here.
Do you see me?
Yes,
Her name, just her name, I see.
right.
Okay, so can you guys hear me though? You hear me?
We hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
hear you great.
Okay. It's so
Okay,
weird. My
sure.
camera is on and I see myself, but weird. Okay, fine. So
Judy, if you want me to be co-host, do you want me to share any of the papers you have sent?
no, not yet.
Okay, so
I don't
I'm not a co-host because was kicked out also.
Because I don't remember what I sent, so I can.
Now you are. No, now you're not. Zippy got to
Well,
be.
she dropped again.
Maybe we should just continue this like next week. I don't know. It's been like 2 hours almost.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Judy, I'm wondering, is there a possibility to to continue this instead of waiting a week? Is there a possibility we can continue this sometime during another day this week?
I don't know. Maybe we're talking about doing something on Thursday, for Rosh Chodesh. Maybe we'll let me speak to her. We'll do some davening together. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Right, that was a great idea to get together Chodesh.
Right. So everybody do your cooking early. All right.
Wow, what a
I think
great,
maybe
great
it's
class.
Siman.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really very beautiful. I'm going to call her and just tell her to kind of bag it, I mean, not bag it, but preserve it. Preserve it.
Till maybe Thursday. That would
Yeah.
be great.
I'll talk to her about it.
Judy, I'm going to send you in an email what I wrote down.
Wait 1 second.
I'm signing off. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah. All right. So you know what? Maybe we'll just continue it another time. No, they're leaving already. Everybody says, it's 2 hours. But I'll tell you, someone someone mentioned the possibility of you doing it on just 1 second. I'm gonna just shut down the recording.
You guys can see and hear me?
Yes. Yes, now we can. But a lot
Okay.
of people left.
It's okay. People. So I've learned in my nervous system. The last years that I learned with my Rebbe, Reb Shlomo, I want you to know in 1994 in Yerushalayim, I want you to know Shlomo Carlebach, being Shlomo Carlebach, I went to learn with him, and there is 3 of us, sometimes 4. Me, Mimi, right? Mimi Fagelson. Sometimes Chana Sarah Zeller, Shlomo, and sometimes 1 or 2 other people would come. That was it. Like, it's not like people had never heard of him before, right? It wasn't meant for, and Shlomo would say, so the teachings will go to the people it's meant for. That's it. We can trust that. Okay, ready? You can see me and hear me. I exist. Okay. Okay, good. So he says like this. So the holy masters come and say like this, okay? The tikkun, right, of Parshat Korach is to accept where we are in the process, right? So when we're in the hierarchy, we're still growing vessels, we're still preparing. That means Geula Shlema is not here yet, right? To be where we are in the birth, to be where we are in the birth, okay? And also preparing, okay, and also preparing that we're getting ready to uplift the Shekhinah. That means every person's individual tree, every person's individual soul, in a balanced and humble way, not by tearing down the hierarchy. See that this is where it got a little funky. Not by tearing down the old system, but by preparing our vessels for the new system. You understand the difference? What Korach and his wife were saying was like, oh, we're all holy. Let's tear down the old way, right? And Moshe was saying, no, it's about Das. It's right. It's about bridging the younger consciousness to the higher consciousness. In the meantime, we still need to be taught by the higher consciousness, by the prophets, by the tzaddikim, by the leaders, in order to make every person ready to receive prophecy and be able to have self-leadership in their own tree, be able to be Moshe Rabbeinu to their own parts. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes? Okay. So good. So we're going to continue. Okay. So now I just want to give you a little tiny source thing. So, a review of the sources. Okay. So here, Zohar Shalosh, Kuf, Ayin, Vav, Amud, Bet. Korach had the high vision, but he had a faulty clarity. It wasn't clear. He was sensing something true, but it was not the time yet. Okay? Shar Hagilgulim, Lamed Gimel from the Ari HaKadosh, that Korach was from the neshama of Cain, and he keeps coming back in every generation to prepare his vessels. See, he wants light now. It's the part of us that wants Geula now, wants our soulmate now, wants Shlom Bayit now, wants the Parnasa now, right? And that's the Kayin part. It's an archetype in each one of us. I want full and complete sweetness with you and connection with you, God, right now. And if not, it feels like you abandoned me, or you don't love me, or you're punishing me, or I'm not worthy. And that part of that neshama has to keep learning patience, my love, patience, my love, patience, my love. You can't come out of your mommy's tummy and drive a car. It's not going to happen. But when you get 16, you can get your permit, and then you can take lessons. And then at 18, you can get right. And it's a process. It takes patience, and it takes patience in order to not shatter the vessels. Because if you would let a 5-year-old or even a 9-year-old drive a car, it could shatter them, because they could cause damage to themselves and to others. You get that muscle again and again and again. We're learning. Have patience. We are waking up. We are evolving. We are becoming enlightened. We all are in the end going to be, our own personal Moshe Rabbeinu. But don't push the process. Don't hit the rock. It's a process, just like a birth with a physical woman. We don't scream and yell at her, why are you not giving birth yet, right? Or we could all give birth right now. No, we can't all give birth right now. We can give birth when Hashem brings all the conditions, and there's dilation, and there's effacement, and right, and the head is crowning, and all those other conditions come into place. Does that make sense? So far, so good? Yeah? Hear me? Can you see me and hear me still? No? Oh, no.
Yes, we're
Yes,
good.
yes.
Okay, amazing. And again, the Midrash and Sanhedrin, Kuf Yud Amud Aleph, says that Korach's wife represents the premature arousal of the Shekhinah, right? It means like, I want to be evolved already. I want to be enlightened now. I don't want to go back after Shabbos to the 6 days of the week, right? I have actually friends that say, like, I'm not making Havdalah because I'm done with this world of pain and suffering. And halavai, I feel that way too, to be really honest, right? But Hashem says, please, please trust me. Please have patience. I promise you, the only reason why we're lagging is because there are souls that need more time. They're not ready. And we can't force souls to evolve or wake up or do tshuva. It's a process. Okay. Then Rev Tzadok HaKohen, he says, in the future, Korach's vision will be 100% fulfilled. And the Sfas Emes and the Me'orei Naim say that Korach is part of the spiritual evolution of Hashva'ah, of equality and the Shekhinah rising. That, yes, it's true. All beings are precious. All souls are precious. Again, also when we refer to Shekhinah rising, we do also mean physically that the actual opening of the 10 energy centers in our tree from Malchut to Keter. That's what we mean by Shekhinah arising, that our energy centers are opening, balancing, harmonizing, getting cleared. Okay, so the conclusion is that Korach and his wife were ahead of their time. And okay, one second. I wanted to share with you this. Okay, so maybe I'll just really fast run through this, wanting to give you some embodied stuff and hoping that the connection is going to stay. But here's a bunch of mekolot that actually support Korach's view, right? Just to show that he really was right, that we really all will be on a level of, let's say what we mean by this first. First, in a very simple way, on the level of IFS, internal family systems, we call it self-leadership. In other words, we have a part of us that's scared or depressed, that we can access the Moshe Rabbeinu inside of us and go soothe that part of us and listen to her and be with her and say, I'm here for you. Whatever, let's say I have a part of me that's really scared right now. So I can go to that scared part as my own inner Moshe Rabbeinu, right? And say, listen, I'm the highest consciousness in this tree, in this system, and I'm here for you. Why are you scared? What happened? Oh, it reminds you of when you were little. Oh, how old were you? Oh, this age. What happened to you then? Oh, how did your system get stuck in that energy, right? It got stuck. The energy got stuck. Parts of our system still think we're 5 or 6 years old, right? And we're still responding how we did when we were a little girl or a little boy, right? So, okay, so I just want to give you, I just made a list of Nikolot. Okay, so I'm just going to just share this, okay? So it says in Yoel, Perek Gimel, Pasuk Aleph, and it's also quoted in the Gemara and the Zohar, and it says, Dehaya acharechen eshpoch et ruchi al kol basar, right? It will come to pass at the end of this process that I will pour out my ruach, my spirit, on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters will all be nevi'im. See, Korach knew this. He wasn't mistaken. He was just trying to push the ending. Okay. So this is straight from Yoel, and it's not limited to what we might think of as a Navi or a Tzaddik, but in the future is that yes, everybody will have the Umala Kol Haaretz De'at Hashem. All beings will have personal and direct prophecy experience of the Creator. It's just not yet. You hear the difference? We're working on it. We're building the vessels. We're purifying the vessels. We're getting there. Okay. Second makor, and this is from Tanya Perek Bet. And the Alter Rebbe teaches that every yid has within them a chelik Elohai mimal mamish, a little piece of God. But the piece contains everything, right? It's holographic, right? And it says, this means you're already rooted in pure divine essence. In IFS, we call this self-energy. And we say these are the qualities of the godly soul. It exists in everybody. It can't be damaged or broken. This is already in you. This is already in you. Chelek Elohai mimal mamish, an actual living infinite piece of the divine. It's in everybody. It can't be damaged or broken. It's just under the surface of the parts. And by parts, we mean the physical sensations of our body, our emotional reactions and responses and triggers, our thoughts and ideas and beliefs, right? Those are called levushim. They're called garments for a reason. What are they garmenting? What are they garbing? They're garbing the divine soul that's already whole, already healthy, already here. Okay, so let's say it again. It exists in every being. This chelik Elohai mimal mamish. It cannot be broken or damaged or wounded or hurt or disconnected or cut off. Okay, number 3, it's just under the surface of these levushim. And maybe the most beautiful and important is it knows how to heal. So all we're doing in this galut to geula process is we're peeling off the klipot. We're peeling the veils. We're peeling whatever it is that's blocking that reality that already exists, that we're whole, that we know how to live in harmony, that we're peaceful, that we know how to heal, that we already have this center column inside of us that is already pure light, right? It's all here. It's just covered. That's why we call it geula from the word legalot, to reveal that which is already here. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're not making something new. We call it an or chadash simply because it's a new light inside of us because it's been covered, right? And the reason it's been covered is not because we're bad. That's the funny thing. That's what we take it to these crazy places because we need a refuah. But the reason it's not here yet is because we're not strong enough to live from that pure, undiluted light yet. The same way we don't let a 5-year-old drive the car because they don't have the das yet. They don't have the consciousness for being able to drive a car without causing harm or damage, right? Driving a car it's a positive thing. Having nevuah is a positive thing, having direct experience of the Creator, but you have to be strong enough and mature enough to
And
be
your
able
legs have to be long enough also.
Say it again. What?
Your legs also need to be long enough.
There you go. Love it. Okay. So the Alter Rebbe says like this: the soul doesn't just reflect Hashem. The soul knows Hashem because the soul is Hashem. Chelek Elohai mimal mamish. Okay. So in Torah Hasidut and Likutei Sichot, it's explained that every soul contains what? Ready for it? A spark of Mashiach. This is what Korach knew this. And Korach's wife knew this. That's why they're like, why can't we just join all of our Mashiach sparks together and enlighten and wake up already? Come on, right? This is from a Sicha from the Rebbe, Likutei Sichot, volume 2, page 512 for those litvox among you Hasidim who need the exact source. Okay. And he says, right, that there's a neshama klali, there's a general soul of Mashiach, and that soul isn't one particular person called Mashiach, it's the collective Mashiach spark inside every person. Should we say that again? It's the collective, and therefore, if there are souls out there that are not yet connected to their Mashiach spark, we need to wait for them. We need to pray for them. Now, there is something called achishena, right? Which means quantum leaps. We do have quantum leaps where people can have spontaneous remission because enough people have done the work and enough people are doing the work that it strengthens these other souls. And this is like Rabbi Nachman's famous story. Yeah, I feel like it's important to say the story. Right. So this king, the king, there's always a king, right? Why is there never a queen? But whatever. There's always a king. Okay. So the king calls 2 artists, right? And divides this huge ballroom that he has into 2 halves. And he says, you have a whole year to decorate your half of the ballroom and impress me. Give me all you got, right? Show me the beauty, make your half of the ballroom the most spectacular, beautiful, expression of human creativity and beauty as possible. Okay. So they put this curtain down the center of the ballroom, and one guy spends the entire year with this incredible artistry, right? He's painting, he's plastering, he's doing gold filament work and silver work, and he's filling it with spices and flowers. I mean, it's just like breathtakingly gorgeous. And the other guy is totally stuck. He doesn't even know where to begin. He can't make a sketch. He has no clue where to begin, and he's just stuck, and he's just lying on the floor crying. I don't know where I am. I don't know how to do this. I don't have the capability. I don't have a vision. I don't know what God's asking from me. I don't know if I have any gifts. If I do, I don't know what they are, right? And the other guy's like happily painting away and decorating and making this incredible thing. Very, 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 very last day of the year, the second guy has this idea, okay? And he acts on his idea, okay? So, right, comes the end of the year, and the king's like, all right, let me see what you got. And he goes to the first guy, and he's like, oh my God, look at this artwork. Look at this, blah, 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 right? All this precision, all this beauty. Look what you've done in my world, right? In my ballroom, really, in my world. Look at all your effort. Look what you made. Look what you created. Look what you generated. Look what you shared. Look what you became, right? Meanwhile, this other guy on the other side of the curtain, he's done nothing. He's like, I'm lost in this world. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am. I don't know what I'm doing here. I can barely just survive and brush my teeth, let alone, like, I don't know, add beauty to your world, right? The king says, okay, show me what you got, to the second guy. And he opens the curtains that divides these two half of the ballrooms, and he's painted the entire thing, covered it with mirrors, so that everything that the other guy did is now reflected in his half of the ballroom, right? And the king loves it even more. He loves his creativity. He loves his chutzpah. But what's Rabbi Nachman saying? He's like, yeah, some of us, we know what we're doing here, and we do all this beautiful, gorgeous work. And some souls in the last second, because of all the work that all the other souls have done, that's love. That's called love, right? Because all the other souls suffered so much and went through so much, those souls at the last second reach full enlightenment, right? This is the Gemara where the Tanaim were crying over Rabbi Eliezer ben Dordaya, right? That he received Olam Haba in Sha'ah Achat, in 1 hour. And they're like, hey, wait, that's not fair. I've like worked like 27 Gilgulim on this stuff. Like, and Hashem's like, it's not fair, but it's my compassion. That's what I do. I love every soul so much, right? And he says, this is how it is also right now. This is what it is right now. He says, there are neshamas that are carrying so much and have done so much. And it's for the sake of some of these very young neshamas that, because of all the work that the other neshamas are doing, they can have an achishana experience. They can go from 0 to infinite, right, in 1 second, because of all the tzaddikim who have been doing all this hisbodedus and all. Oh, by the way, in the list that we made before in terms of clearing frequencies, Rabbi Nachman also says, speak to Hashem in your own personal language every day for at least an hour. But there's a but. And the but is, only speak truth. Don't lie to Hashem, not even by spiritually bypassing, right? Not even the things you think you're supposed to say to be like a little cute, good person. Only speak the truth. Hashem, I'm in pain, or I feel far from you, or I don't know if I have Emuna right now. I'm scared of the sirens. Whatever your truth is, that's intimacy. Not when you show up like a little good girl and be like, Hodu Hashem, and your heart is bitter and full of fear and pain and like, Hashem, I don't even know if you're here. Rabbi Nachman says, no, Hashem doesn't want you to put on a show. It's not performative. Hashem wants your heart. Hashem wants what's in your heart. Hashem wants the intimacy of what you're really experiencing, but sharing it together, that you and Hashem are sharing this together. Okay, we're going to go weiter. Ready? Before the thing shuts off. Okay, so Zohar, Shalosh, Kuf, Kaf, Dalid, Amud Bet. Okay, here it says, in the days of Mashiach, all the world will see with their own eyes. They will not need teachers, because umala de'at Hashem, right, b'chol haaretz, that every single being will have a personal and direct experience. Knowledge of Hashem will be ready for it, written on their hearts. That's, by the way, comes directly from Yirmiyahu. It's in my notes, okay? But Yirmiyahu, he says the same thing, right? He says, I'm going to make a Brit Chadash with you. That's why Christians call it a New Testament. They took it from that pasuk. It doesn't mean a New Testament in that way. It means that it's not going to be anymore just on the mental body. It's going to be so embodied in our bodies that I look at my flesh, not my neshama. I look at my flesh and I say, Zeh keli ve'anvehu. This is God. The body is God. The animation of the body is God. My breath is God. My words is God. Ein od milvado. But I can't see that. There's an orla. You know what we call an orla? A veil, right? So we have several orlas when we're born. The baby boy comes in with an orla on his body. The woman doesn't have that. And at 8 days, he has that orla removed from his from the veil that's clouding his physical body from being able to see God and use his body in a godly way, right? And then again, we have an orla on our heart, right? We know that, it says it right there in Dvarim, right? Hashem will circumcise our hearts, right? This is again right before Mashiach comes, taking off the orla. Again, what's the orla? That's by the way, the stone that Yaakov Avinu rolled off of the be'er, of the well. That's the orla of the heart. That's why he's able to see Rachel right after that and be like, you're my love, you're my soulmate, ta-da, right? Because he rolled the stone off from his heart, right? It's called orla. We have another orla. We have this really interesting orla that Moshe Rabbeinu is called Aral Svatayim, right? That there's some kind of veil over his mouth, over his lips. So again, an orla on our communication, on our speech, right? And understanding what speech is and what happens when we speak into the heart of from the heart, from the uncircumcised heart into the heart of another, and how we can literally change their vibrational field in a good way, right? Obviously, we please God mean this in a good way, right? And then it's so interesting. We have orla around our food. We have in Eretz Israel, right? We don't eat the fruit from the trees for the first 3 years, right? It goes through an orla process. So again, this is a class on orla, so we won't go there, but just to have you hopefully you've understood that in all the energy bodies, we have a process of Hashem needing the veil there to keep the fruit safe. Like an orange wouldn't be an orange if it didn't have an orange peel. The orange peel is a necessary part of the orange being able to be safe enough in the inside the klipa to grow and become sweet and become a beautiful orange. At the right moment, though, we're not going to eat the orange peel. We're going to peel it off and we're going to reveal this very sweet, delicious fruit but that is also very delicate. And without the orange peel the whole time, it would not have been able to flourish and become an orange. I just want to know if you guys are with me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is it making sense to you what I'm saying? Do you need clarity? Do you want to ask questions? Okay, checking the chat box. Must go now. Okay, yes. Thank you for staying for as long as you stayed. We're almost done.
Beautiful stuff. That's what I have to say. Just beautiful. Really beautiful. Thank you.
We're almost done. Let's say 5.
No problem. No problem. We're
Okay.
good.
So he says, okay, so Yirmiyahu Lamed Aleph Lamed Gimel Lamed Dalid, and it says like this. Again, this is the same teaching, right? No longer will any one person teach another person saying you should know Hashem, right? Because they will all know me from the least of them to the greatest. Again, this is what Korach saw, what Korach's wife saw. He was looking forward to the Geula Shlema and saying, can't we shorten this pain? We really have to do this for 3,500 years, from Korach to now, right? Can't we just agree that we're going to wake up and we're going to receive God and we're going to have prophecy? Can't we just meditate our way through this? Can't we just pray our way through this? And the answer is maybe individuals can do that, but we're not individuals. We're a collective called Knesset Israel. We are a collective soul. And part of a collective soul, just like a family, is that the parents have great patience for the children, for what they're going through, because the parents themselves had to go through struggles when they were in young consciousness, and they need to offer the same compassion, right? You can't expect, and I do this all the time, by the way. I forget, that because my children have such beautiful high consciousness that I forget that they're still in mochin to katnud, and I have to grant them that compassion, not expect them to have mochin to gadlus, mature consciousness, when they're not yet in mature consciousness. Yes. And the secret is this compassion. So the Chazal come and say, this isn't a mashal. It's not a mashal that one person will no longer teach one person Torah. It's not a mashal. It's actual tachlis. Hashem comes and says, why? And it's such a beautiful teaching because I'm going to engrave the Torah onto their hearts. You know what that means, right? Engrave. It means my whole energy body and my energy system is a different system. It's healthy. It's aligned. It's called, wait for it, ta-ta-da-da, the Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life, as opposed to, right, Eitz HaDat Tov V'Ra, where parts of me are connected to Hashem and parts of me are in fear and doubt and worry and shame and anger and jealousy, right? And it's a process to unburden those energies and reconnect them back to life, back to source. Okay, we're almost done. Wait, are we almost done? Yes, we're almost done. I did want to give you some body Torah, but let's see. Okay, so now in Chassidut, we're just going to explore, right? So what's the role of a tzaddik? Is the role of a tzaddik temporary or is it eternal? Okay, so Rabbi Nachman, Rabbeinu says from Likutei Maharan, Chelik Aleph, Torah, Lamed Daled. It says that tzaddik elevates the souls until they too can reach das, which is direct knowledge of God. Did you hear that? Right? Saying both. Yes, we need a tzaddik. And the purpose of the tzaddik is like a parent who cares for the child and then will teach the child eventually how to drive a car. Yeah? Got the mashal? Okay, so the goal is not dependency. The goal is not to be dependent on the tzaddik at the price of cultivating our own personal connection with Hashem, but the tzaddik has the ability to awaken each person's capacity and their kelim, their vessels, to become a vessel for Ruach HaKodesh and for Hashem's love. Okay, again, I'm just going to pause and just ask if anybody wants me to clarify something or wants to ask a question before we finish. Everybody's okay. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what Korach saw is that there's two directions in the tree, okay? There's Keter, which is the top of the head, to Malchut, which is the soles of the feet. And there's another direction, and that's the soles of the feet going up the tree back to Keter, okay? Are you guys following this? It's really, really, really important. Okay, when we come in at Keter and we're going down through the 10 energy centers and we're right, that's called becoming embodied. Now I want you to understand, please, this is the Sulam Yaakov. This is Yaakov's ladder. This is the ladder, sorry, not the ladder. Right, this is the ladder. When Yaakov had his chalom, he had his dream, and he saw the malachim, right, going up and down the ladder. Malachim here means energies, right? It means the energies of our physical body, the energies of our, that's called nefesh, the energies of our emotional body, that's called ruach, the energies of our mental body, that's called neshama, the energies of our spirit body, chaya, and our collective spirit body, lichida, okay? But, and he understood, oh, we're in some kind of process, and the process is joining together the physical and the spiritual, the masculine and the feminine, right? The concealed and the revealed. And it's a process. It's a process. And the purpose of the process is that the sum is greater than the whole of the parts. So we have more love, more peace, more connection, more understanding when we take these polarized things and we harmonize them. Very, very much akin. Just think of the mashal of a symphony or a band, right? Each instrument on its own is beautiful. And then the final beauty is when everybody plays together, a different instrument, a different piece of music. In other words, some people are holding the melody, some people are holding the rhythm, some people are holding the harmony, right? And how glorious it is and how it reflects Hashem's kavod when that symphony comes together. And he says, but Korach wanted the symphony now. And Moshe was saying to him, listen, the cellist has got to learn how to be a cellist, and the violinist has got to learn how to be a violinist. That's what we mean by the rising of the Shekhinah. Each person learns how to master their instrument. By instrument, it means their body, their emotional body, their thoughts, their mental body, and their soul and their spirit. Now, that's a process. You can't take a 5-year-old, stick a violin in his hand and say, play a symphony. And Korach was like, oh God, but it's so annoying to practice scales. It takes so long. It's so screechy. Can't we just sidestep that whole process? Can't we just give them a violin and have them play the violin? And can't we just get to the good part, which is like the symphony and the beautiful music we can create together? And Moshe Rabbeinu's like, no, I know it's true. It's super screechy. I'm a violin teacher, by the way. It's super screechy when people are learning violin and it sounds ugly. So in other words, pain and sorrow and suffering and effort. You have to get up. You have to tune your instrument. You have to make mistakes. You have to get really good at sounding horrible, on your instrument and making mistakes and playing out of tune, right? And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, right? He's saying, yes, Korach, you're right, but the process, the way that this works is every person has to master their own instrument. That means playing it in tune and playing with heart and playing with kavanah and playing with the intentions of love and healing and not personal agenda, right? Of this is going to make me look important and better than everyone else. Now, that's a tall order, right? That's a lot of humbleness. That's a lot of process. It's a lot of patience. It's a lot of refinement, right? And this is what he's saying. Okay, so we're almost done. So, I didn't finish. Okay, so when we come in from Keter to Malchut, we're learning how to be a soul in the body. Okay, we're learning how to be a divine being with a body. Okay, now for some of us who are very spiritual, that's a very painful process, right? By the way, this is Leah Imenu. She's called a Yatzanit. Okay, so Yatzanit could mean she's looking outside of herself for validation and that she's beautiful and that she's wanted and that she's chosen. I have those parts. I know those parts super well. That is one part of the feminine experience of Yatzanit, is looking outside of me for validation that I'm worthy, that I'm enough. Good, beautiful. But there, Yatzanit has another meaning, say the Holy Masters, and that's she never wanted a body in the first place. That the Holy Masters come and say that the word Leah means weary, not wary, but weary, exhausted, that she was a Gilgal of Chava, right? And so she was already coming into this world like, oh my God, this again? Ah, this is so much. Like being a physical person, and being, having to be physical and spiritual at the same time. And again, what part of the healing is this peace that the physical is the highest spiritual. Let's say that again. That the physical, not, oh, my body, I have so much shame around my body because it's sexual and it has these desires or it loves food or, whatever, right? No, that wow, the highest experience of God is to eat, is to have physical intimacy, right? And so again, we're dealing with clearing out all that shame from galus of, oh, physicality, that's what gets in the way between me and union with God. No, physicality is what allows me to have the deepest experience and unity and wholeness with my creator. So you see how it can take time to rewire all of that. Sorry, someone wrote in the chat. Just one sec. Agreeing on what tuning to tune our instruments to. I do want to share something very beautiful. Symphonies around the world tune to A, also in the European system called La. They actually tune to the, I used to be in a symphony, I'm a violinist, and the hardest instrument to tune is the oboe. So the oboe gives the A or the La, and then all the other instruments in the orchestra tune to the oboe. Interestingly enough, and I love this, right? If you go through the Sfirot and you start with Chesed, and Chesed being Do or C, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, or Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, you get to the sixth tone. And all orchestras around the world in Western music, Eastern music has its own musical laws. I'm talking about Western music. Okay, in Western music, we tune to the sixth note. Sixth note is Yesod. It's the tzaddik. Isn't that gorgeous? It's the sixth note. La or A is Yesod, which is the frequency of the tzaddik. So all Western music tunes to the frequency of the tzaddik. I think that's remarkable. Okay, good. So just finish this little piece. And we say we talked about going from Keter to Malchut. Okay, so that's when we're going down, and it's very painful for the soul because every sphera there's less light and there's more chomer or materiality or physicality, less light and more veil. Okay, another way we could say that is it looks more and more that we have an independent reality and an independent life separate from God, right? That it looks more and more like the powers that we give power to, like the power of power, violence, cruelty, even the power of beauty, the power of money, is what makes this world go around. And that reality, the more we go down the tree, looks and feels more and more real. Okay, when I'm up here and I'm like, oh, Eino Mafado, like, of course it's all light and bliss, great. But as I go down, with every step I go down, I become more embodied. I become more chomer, more material. But I also feel more and more separate from others. I have my own existence with my own thoughts and my own will and my own feelings and my own desires and my own seemingly, right, my own bechira, my own free choice. Okay, so that's one process where I bring the light all the way into the physical. And again, for spiritual types of souls, for other types of souls, by the way, that's the easy part. Being embodied, simple. I love my body. My body does all this cool stuff. I can surf, I can ski, I can do gymnastics, I can, right? Some beings are very, very at home and at peace in their body, and it's the spiritual world that feels weird and awkward and painful for them. But whatever it is, right? We have these two different kinds of souls. So that it's going down from Keter to Malchut. Good, that's Galus. That's what we've been doing this whole time. Geula is the reverse process. Geula is rising from Malchut, right? From David HaMelech, from Malchut. That's the lowest point of human consciousness, right? It's when souls feel correct, feel cut off, feel forgotten about, feel abandoned, feel shamed, feel unworthy, feel too damaged and too broken beyond repair, right? That's min ha-meitzar. That's what David HaMelech says, right? Min ha-meitzar, from that narrowest space, which is Malchut, right? Malchut shebe Malchut. That's what Geula is, bringing the light and the consciousness back up the body, the tree, the consciousness, the energy system, the actual energy system, the actual frequencies, the actual spectrums of light, the actual spectrums of sound, right? Again, like Malchut, Shabbat Malchut vibrations might be terror, rage, right? again, staying with those frequencies and going all the way back up to bliss and joy and love and unity, which are actual energies, not just concepts. This is what we just keep saying again and again and again, right? And that's where we are. That's where we are, going back up the tree. Okay, so let's just say this last little piece. So when we say the feminine or malchut or Shekhinah is rising, right, we're speaking about both the collective Shekhinah of everybody's collective soul, also the collective feminine, and also just one person, the individual. So it's happening, Rav Kook says, in the prat and in the klal. It's happening in the prat shebeprat, in the details of one woman and her experience. It's also happening in the feminine, but it's also happening in the feminine inside of men. Does anyone need an explanation on that? It's not just women, it's the rise of the feminine energy. So feminine energy in an actual woman, feminine energy in the world, feminine energy in men, right? This is all undergoing because by feminine energy, let's say some of the things that we mean, the ability to be a mekabel or mekabelet, to receive. It's an energy that's receptive. It has a negative, not negative as in like, oh, you're so ugly. Negative as in empty of itself, right? Keter has a positive charge. We are literally a battery. Think of a battery and it has a little spitz on the top. That's the Keter, and it has a little plus sign next to it. Where you go to Malchut, at the bottom, and this is not a muscle. This is real. We are made of energy. We have an electromagnetic field. We have charge in our body. It's not a muscle. We are actually electric. Okay, that's when we talk about the spherot. Again, it's not a make-believe map. It's the truth that we are energy, and there are energies that are giving pulsations, and there are energies that receive energies, there are energies that stabilize energies. Our entire tree consists of these three root energies. The whole right side is energies that give out energy. Okay, it's a plus charge. The whole left side of the tree are receptive energies. It has a minus charge, right? It's about receiving, holding, gathering, limiting, protecting. Okay, then we have a whole middle column, and that has a neutral charge, a 0. It's not plus, it's not minus, it's not receptive, and it's not it's not receptive and it's not giving, right? It's 0. It's a neutral charge. The purpose of the neutral charge is to integrate, connect, harmonize, and stabilize the plus charge and the negative charge, literally in our systems, in our bodies. Literally, we're electric beings, right? Electric impulses. The whole system is an electric system. If you don't understand that, we can't go further with Kabbalah. This is ABC of Kabbalah. We are electrical beings. Okay, so I'm going to check the chat. Somebody wrote something in the chat. 1 second. Right. I sing the body electric. I celebrate. That was my favorite movie growing up. Okay. Okay, so part of what the Holy Masters say is good. Now that you know this, understand that what's happening in Geula is the third middle column is growing, is opening. Birth always happens in the middle column, right? If I want to birth my thoughts, I speak from my mouth, which is in the middle column. If I want divine spiritual experience, I open my third eye, again, the middle column. The middle will always give me truth, right? Emet. Emet lives in the middle column. Shalom lives in the middle column. Tiferet lives in the middle column. Rachamim. Rachamim doesn't mean chesed. People make that mistake, right? Compassion is wind. It's the element of air, Rabbi Nachman says, whereas chesed is the element of water. Water just keeps giving. It just keeps gushing. That's the whole right side of the tree, water. The whole left side of the tree, fire, right? Fire, din, right? The whole middle column, air, except malchut, which is earth, right? Because again, it receives everything from above it. However, the flip is, am I losing you guys? I'm just curious. Can somebody just stick up a thumb? Anybody still here? We're almost done. Okay.
Beautiful. Keep going. You're doing great. Love
Okay.
You're speaking my language, sister.
it.
So in the most simple way, if you understand keter as ether, as actual like spiritual air, and you understand malchut as the bottom of your feet, as actual dirt, like actual earth, then you understand this process so much better, right? What we're doing is, again, we're going to bridge something that's so spiritual, which is ether, right? Ether's not wind because it's like spiritual air, spiritual energy, right? Or Ein Sof. It's not just oxygen in this world, although it also is oxygen in this world, but it's higher than that, right? It's spiritual energy. And then the earthiest is physical energy, right? And it has a minus charge. By the way, this is why Rabbi Nachman says you shouldn't walk barefoot, except if you're on Admat Kodesh, because the soles of your feet are so receptive that they suck in, especially in women, any kind of negative energy, right? But the opposite in Eretz Yisrael, which is Admat Kodesh, you should go to the forest and take off your shoes, and that's part of why Moshe Rabbeinu took off his shoes to receive the charge of the divine presence through the soles of your feet. Okay, just a little side point from Rabbi Nachman. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so Malchus, or the feminine, starts off at the bottom of the tree as a receiver, as hidden, as without light of her own, right? What's that? Let something Garma Bay, right? She has no light of her own. Remember, this is the moon, all tiny and diminished and all of that. And as the Shekhinah rises in the end of days, aka today, she becomes the equal partner, not needing to be fed by the higher Sfirot, but receiving directly from the Or Ein Sof. Now, this doesn't just mean a woman. Can you understand now what we said before, that every person will have direct Ruach HaKodesh, direct experience with God, direct personal, intimate relationship with Hashem while they're in their physical body, not when their soul leaves their body, which is that's kind of like a duh, right? It's to say, no, what's the chiddush? The chiddush is to be so physical and so spiritual at the same time, and not to see a stira or a contradiction between them. Not anymore to say, like, well, this is physical, bad. This is spiritual, good. This is holy, ew, that's profane. No, we only do that when we're in mochin de katnut, because again, we're telling the child, you're not ready to drive the car yet, right? We call that in Chabad Chassidus itkafia. You need to suppress those energies in the meantime, because you're not yet masterful enough to work with them in beautiful ways. But itkafia, suppression, is not the last stop. Itapcha, transformation, transforming every energy, reconnecting it back to its root and its source and its home, is the game plan. So at some point, we're going to take off the training wheels and we're going to trust our inner morality. We're going to trust our neshamas that they can be super physical, super sexual, and super connected with food and time and money and the most physical things, and do it in a way that's so beautiful, that's so whole, that creates so much wholeness and harmony and healing for all the parts and all the parties who are involved, right? Are you following me so far? This is what's happening. When you hear this, the siren, Hashem Yishmor, but this is what's happening. All beings. Now, when we say the feminine, again, we don't just mean women. Women are feeling it harder because what's also happening in our physical bodies. But this is the waking up. When we say that the Shekhinah is rising, we don't just mean physical woman, although we do mean it's happening in their bodies more because of how they're designed in this lifetime, right? To be the birthers and the receivers and all of that. But we also mean on a grander scale that every soul is making its way now back up the tree from Malchut, also called David HaMelech, right? Also called the darkest klipot, the darkest veils that separate us from true reality of who we are, individually and collectively, working its way back up the tree and being able to be Moshe Rabbeinu inside ourself, right? To be a Raya Mehemna, a faithful shepherdess, right? Or shepherd is in the case of men, right? To our own inner experiences, to our own emotional experiences, like shame, for example, or our own mental experiences, like I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, right? Or our own physical experiences of, oh, my body is, ugly and fat and old and, has been abused, and going to all of those beings, because they are beings, they're energies that have had experiences and therefore have drawn conclusions, and being the Moshe Rabbeinu to them and saying, no, you're stuck in Mitzrayim. You're stuck in an old, outdated story and perception of yourself, right? And becoming that Moshe Rabbeinu, otherwise known as Das Elyon, highest consciousness, right? Highest connection inside each one of us. This is like Gavaldic, right? It says, as the Shekhinah rises in the end of days, we're going to become the beloved, right, to Hashem. And again, it's all these prophecies from Yoel and from Yirmiyahu and from Korach, right? Of, yes, Kol Ha'eda Kula Kodesh. Yes, each one of us has God in us and we can trust ourselves that we're not, going to let our animal nature and our animal parts overcome our divine nature and cause pain and suffering to ourselves and each other, because we've done so much work to refine these parts and to teach them a little like patience, right? And how the immediate gratification isn't always the most bliss, right? Isn't always the yummiest thing that they can have. Again, I'm giving myself 3 to 5 minutes just to wrap this up, right? This is what we mean when we say Gan Eden Mikedem, to go back to Gan Eden, and the Holy Masters come and say, what's Gan Eden? Le'aden et hanefesh, to soften. Le'aden is to refine, is to be gentle, is to be kind, is to live in a world where it's safe again to be gentle and refined and kind. Can you imagine? So that's why we say, oh, right? So the ze'ev, the wolf, and the little lammy are going to be able to lie down next to each other. It also means an actual wolf and an actual lammy, because human consciousness affects animal consciousness. We know that from Parshat Noach, right? When we distorted our ways, the animals distorted their ways. But it also means the inner predator and the inner victim, the inner little tender one, being able to dwell side by side. The inner, ready? The inner Esav and the inner Yaakov becoming unified into, wait for it, Israel. The harmonization of both of those extreme energies, and not calling, okay, now I want to go back, Susan, to what you, Zizi, Sorry, it's so funny. I said Susan because I was thinking of your email. Zizi, the question you asked. So is there no evil in this world? I mean, how do we look at October 7th? It's just hard to say the words, but let's say them, right? The rape, the murders, right? Really, we're going to say that's not evil, right? We're being asked to stretch. We're being asked to stretch just like those of us who were zocha to give birth to children in this lifetime. And may all of those who longed for children and didn't have them be comforted, and may those who long for children and still can have children receive that beautiful bracha. But you know, and it says, no, by Yom Hahu, right? What's the Yom Hahu? That's Har Seir, which I love to call Hairy Mountain, right? Esav's Hairy Mountain. But when Yaakov and Esav can come back together and dwell together, again, what does this mean? If you just think about it right now as energies, not as people, not as Hamas, because that's too much for our system right now, just energies that we all contain inside of us. We all have impulses for cruelty and for violence. Yes, all of us. In fact, the Holy Masters say, you have to know, I have to know, I am capable of murder. Now, my parts are like, no, I'm not. No, the Holy Masters say, yes, you are. If the right circumstances presented themselves, we would all be capable of all of those atrocious things, all of us. And the Holy Masters say, not to blame yourself, not to hate yourself, but we have to know that we are an entire universe. So we do, of course, we contain, we suppress them. There's many energies that we've learned how successfully to suppress, but suppression is not geula. Suppression is the training wheels. At some point, you got to take off the training wheels and fly. Mixed muscles. My English teacher told me never to do that, but fine, you get what I'm saying, right? We want to fly. Okay, good. So now let's just finish this last little piece. Every neshama, right, especially in Malchus, feels separate and unworthy. Just think David HaMelech. Malchus is the headquarters of Busha. Malchus is the headquarters of karet, of feeling left behind, of feeling unworthy, of feeling shame, right? But it's also in the v'nahafahu, right? That I have no identity anymore. I have nothing. And from that place, I'm infinitely carved out. All I am now is a halala panui. All I am is an empty space now, which can then be filled with light because there's no me, this identity, this strong together me who has answers blocking the light anymore. Okay, we're almost done. In the Geula, each neshama receives the Or of Hashem directly, get this, with no shame and no hierarchy. This is Rabbeinu's Torah. I'm going to give it to you in 3 seconds, of Boshet to Tashuv to Shabbat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's fine. If you got it, you got it, okay? But this is the point, that we're in a process of turning Boshet to Tashuv to Shabbat. That's Rabbeinu's Torah, okay? Malchut becomes Keter. That's from the 8th Chaim Sha'ar HaHakdamot. This is the radical transformation that Kabbalah is speaking of the feminine rising, meaning the divine soul, the higher consciousness in each person, right? Meaning the more gentle, more compassionate, more tolerant. It's the Yud Gimel Midos HaRachamim rising in each being, that's going to become the code of living from those frequencies, from the Yud Gimel Midos HaRachamim, okay? And therefore the Shekhinah is no longer in exile. Therefore, no being needs to be terrified for its life in the face of another being that's going to be raped or murdered or preyed upon. This is what we mean when we say Shekhinah rising. The rise of the Yud Gimel Midos HaRachamim, within each person, not because it's forced on them, not because it's forced on them. That's itkafia, but because we see that it's the truth, that Hashem is love, that Hashem is rachamim, that life, that the very heartbeat of life is the rechem, is rachamim. Okay, last line. So, to answer Korach's question, is every soul Mashiach? In a way, yes. Mashiach is the total realization of divine presence in human form, in both an individual called Mashiach or the Tzaddik, but also in the collective. And there is a Mashiach ben David, and Chassidut and Zohar also teach us all neshamas are shivim panim, are facets, are fractals of Adam Kadmon, right? We're all little sparks of, little pieces of, little fractals of Adam Kadmon. And all souls hold a spark of the divine Redeemer, of the Mashiach inside of us. We also, by the way, call this the Shar HaChamishim, right? Grace, grace. The Yud Gimel Midos HaRachamim inside each one of us. When each person lights their spark, the collective body of Mashiach is complete. So the Geula is not one person saving many. It's all souls awakening to the divine within them, and in doing so, becoming fully unified back to Keter, which is source. Okay. How are you guys doing? How was that? I do want to say, after I prepared this class, I did also prepare in what I called it Korach 3, which is embodied teachings, but I think our vessels are tired and flooded and we need a break. At the right time, please, God, may I be zocha to share with you. I took all of these teachings and I turned them into breathwork practices, into meditations, into journal prompts. And again, I feel like we're a little flooded at this point. It's been a lot. I do want to just open the space for questions, for shares, for questions and clarity about what we did. And then once that's done, we can open it to a wider question. Okay? Anybody have a question just on what we did so far? Clarity.
Hi, Reva. I have a question.
Hi.
Hi, it's Razel.
Your sister get married?
As you can see, not yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Not yet.
Privately, I have a funny story to tell you about that. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm excited. First of all, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, this is such a such a oxygen for my nefesh, for my neshama. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And also so just validating just that you said about the struggle of being a soul and a body, that some people it's just such an intense experience. It's such an intense not me, other people, there's just such an intense experience being a human. And when you were saying about like Korach, that he was like, yeah, can we just get to the good part? I'm like, yeah, because I know it's possible. I'm like, Hashem, you could just like pump us up, like remove the klipot for us, and we could just like fly into Geula. Like, why you gotta drag us through the mud? So I guess like I understand what you're saying, that like it's a process, and like the violin and the mashal and everything. And I guess like my question is, how in the process of the practicing and the playing and the screeching, in the meantime, and like the klipos that are being formed so that the orange could be sweet, how do we how do we hold on in the process without, like that exhaustion, like you were saying? Because I feel that over and over and over again, that exhaustion,
Let me be really clear in my answer. Okay. There's the answers that are offered in the Sfarim, And then there's me, Reva Emuna. Okay. So me, Reva Emuna,
Okay.
is just as broken and shattered and scared, and everything is all of us. Okay. The only difference is that I have seen some of these beautiful things in the Sfarim, and these are the maps that the higher consciousness beings who walked before us have left for us, and they work. That I do know. I know that they work. I've applied them, and again, like, I know and I believe that souls like Rabbi Nachman and Shlomo were actually willing to let themselves be shamed. Now, I'm not saying this is spiritual bypassing, because every soul still deals with, whatever we created, right? But had these souls not agreed to not only be human beings in a body, but even have the lowest of human experiences, right? They wouldn't be able to help other souls. It's just very similar to how only a true alcoholic can really help another alcoholic. Anyone else, the alcoholic pushes away because they're like, you don't understand me. You don't know what I went through. You don't know this challenge. You don't know the craving to drink. You don't know whatever, right? And so souls like Rabbi Nachman and Shlomo and other souls are like, I'm going to become an alcohol. I don't mean a literal alcoholic. Okay. I'm just using muscle, right? Of like, I'm going to become an alcoholic, meaning I'm going to go into the lower three klipot of addictions and craving and an unhealthy mind, right? So that I can come out with Hashem's help and go back and help the souls that are stuck there, because then I got the codes. Right? I have the codes. Okay, this is what this is Malchus Beis David. This is not the path of Malchus Beis Yosef, by the way. Malchus Beis Yosef is the path of tzaddik who was always a tzaddik, right? Not the path of the Baal Tshuva, right? I don't mean a Baal Tshuva. I mean, right? Those of us who have gone to the darker experiences in life, and come out, right? Or not come out. Fully yet, whatever, right? Okay, so I can tell you what the holy masters say, and I can tell you that I'm in my spiritual practice, like we all are, but I can tell you what the practices that they gave us are. We have practices. The first group of these practices is called how to mamtik the dinim. How do we sweeten energies that feel stuck, tight, contracted, right? And stuck, tight, contracted energies tend to feel like a resistance to what is right now, a resistance to my life. I don't like this. I don't want it to be happening. Go away. And we try to pray it away, right? Even, right? Hashem, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop, make it go away, right? So the first level of Hamtaka is to hold to the name of Eheyeh Asher Eheyeh. All that is being, all that is here right now, I'm going to stop tantruming against it, not from a shame. I'm not calling it a tantrum to shame.
I understand.
Right? I'm saying the resistance itself is making the suffering worse. The resistance itself is making the suffering worse. We know this, again, please God, you're going to know this very soon when you're giving birth and you work against the contractions, right? It makes the birth longer and harder. If you work with the contractions, the birth can actually be a lot smoother and a lot less painful and a lot faster. Okay, so this is the first teaching that Hashem gives us. Work with me here. Work with me here. Don't see me as your enemy. I'm not your enemy. I'm going through this pain with you. Let's partner, says Hashem. Let's do this together. Okay, so the first thing is, can I pause and stop running? Can I stop running from what I don't like, from what's hurting me, from what's painful? Can I stop wishing it away, praying it away, energetically running from it and saying, I don't want this, I don't like this, this shouldn't be happening to me, this shouldn't be like this, and be with what is. Because can you understand that? It exhausts the energy system. to be pushing against
Yeah,
the
it's
flow of life.
exhausting to keep resisting.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the first thing is, and we call this in the level of Kabbalah and Hasidut, hachna'ah. I surrender to what is. And it's not, don't see it as a victim. It's not, I surrender because you've beaten me into submission, you mean, horrible God. Although I have those parts, and we all do. We're just going to literally hug those parts and be like, I know, I know, I know. I love you. I forgive you. I accept you. And can we make some space for a little bit of higher consciousness here also? That Kol de avid Rahmana letav avid, right? That all that the compassionate one does is good. Okay, so I remind my system that literally thousands of times a day. Sometimes I take out my guitar and I just sing it for hours just to get the vibration into my vibrational field of doesn't feel true, doesn't look true, doesn't smell true, doesn't sound true, but still the holy masters are telling me that it's true. Okay, vehem lo avdim alai. They're not like there to manipulate me, right? So I start to tell my system, Kol de avid Rahmana letav avid. Let's start there. Let's start from whatever is happening to me right now is coming from the Creator's highest love for me and compassion for me, even though parts don't believe that right now or feel that it's true. Okay, so we're going to start from there. And then I'm going to stop running. I just want you to notice that the word for running, bricha, right, is it's going to go through a whole transformation and it's going to become chibur, the deepest connection, right? Same otiyot, bricha, livroach, to run away from, right? Is in the end, it's going to become the Beit HaBechira. It's going to become the space and the place. That's actually Judy calling me. Okay, hold on. I should end. Hold on. You want me to end? Put a cap on it. Put a lid on it. Oh, she called me.
You want to listen to people who want to listen to it.
Okay. So here's what okay, that's a call to kind of close. So I'm gonna say like this. Let's gather again. Let's create, like, it's a really super deep question. The short version that I can offer you right now is stop running, sit, and meet your breath. Just breathe. Just breathe. I would maybe this evening, is anybody interested in doing tonight a breathwork session via Zoom? No, not talking, not Torah. I will lead you through a breathwork session. Okay, let me check. There's one. Okay, so if I have maybe, let's say, 5 people who are interested in a breathwork session,